Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, we must go to the past to save the future.
Welcome to the RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I am Sam Allman.
And I'm Michael Spiffle Webben.
And today we'll be discussing the first part of Chapter 4 of Sailor Moon Another Story, entitled Hostility and Friends. Before we get started, though, how was everyone's week? Oh, my voice cracked there.
Are you finally going through the change, Eli?
I've gone through the change twice. I don't want to do it again.
It's just going to keep happening. Every couple of years, you have to change again.
Oh,
You're just
God,
like, oh my
more
God,
puberty, no. Please make it stop.
Oops, all puberty.
Oh, great.
Well, my week has been pretty good, actually. I finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Congratulations.
Just in time for us to probably end up starting Xenosaga. We'll decide that officially next week, but it's
Hilarious.
kind of the clear winner right now. But if you guys want to, usurp, all you gotta do is come in and vote for Dragon Quest and give us $1 measly.
I will cry, but in a good way, if you vote for Dragon Quest. If you vote for Xenogears, I'll cry in a bad way.
Either way, he'll be crying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a given.
But other than that, I have done the math, and I will have a whole lot of RPG to play if I want to play Kingdom Hearts or then be caught up. But I've also decided that I'm going to play Kingdom Hearts on the day that it's available, even if I'm not done with Dragon Quest, even if I'm not done with Octopath, even if I'm not done with all these other things that I want to get done first. I'm like, I've waited 11 fucking years for this game. I'm going to play it the moment I can download it.
Yeah, me too.
That's understandable.
That's how I felt about Zelda when Breath of the Wild came out, and the thing is, I was still neck deep in Nier, which came out a week before, and I thought, you know what, Zelda, I'm sure it's going to be good and all, but I'm not as excited about it as I am about Nier, so I'll just play Zelda a bit. Obviously, I'll play it day of because of the Switch and stuff, but then I'll go back to Nier. I didn't expect Breath of the Wild to be the best fucking game ever made, so I did not go back to Nier.
That was where you made your mistake.
I was not expecting it to be nearly as good as it was. So whoops. So I'm worried that'll happen with you too, Sam. With Kingdom Hearts, it'll be like, I'll just play a bit of Kingdom Hearts. Oh, whoops! Now I'm not playing anything else. Bye.
They announced yesterday that the current estimates are about 80 hours for the main quest. I'm like, and that's not even the optional Atlantica crap. It's not even clearing it out, which of course I'm going to do because I want the secret ending.
No one's ever going to see you again.
I'm just going to die in January, but it's okay.
Disappear into a fucking Disney anime bullshit hole.
Basically. How's your week been, Spiff?
It's been pretty solid. I've had some interesting life things recently. As those listeners probably know, I've had some troubles adjusting to my new life over here. Mostly financially, but also other stuff. But something really fortuitous happened. Basically, my partner Melissa got a second job. Which, sometimes having to get a second job to pay the bills is kind of depressing. But in this case, it's a really sick-ass job.
Nice.
It's part-time, not a whole lot of responsibility, but pays really well. So we're both feeling really, really glad to have it. So that's the big news, and because of that, we're both just kind of in a pretty darn positive mood.
That's good.
Yeah. Aside from that, things are just regular.
Cool.
Yeah, and also I'm really enjoying this game a whole lot, so that's fun too.
Good.
Yeah.
Yay! I'm so glad you guys are liking this.
Yeah.
And I know it's baby's first RPG, but
we're babies, so it's okay.
Exactly.
I'm still kind of stressed out with this new shift, but other than that, it's an important opportunity for me, and I think I'm doing pretty well at it. So
yeah.
Other than that, not much happening over here. So, shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it. Chapter 4.
All right. So last time on Sailor Moon, Chibi Moon found the Bada Zuisho, but then Anchar stole it. Womp womp.
And then we all fell in love with Anchar, and we know that he's going to be our shining white knight at the end of the game. And it's going to be great.
Anchar owns hard.
He's best bad boy.
The thing I don't like about Anchar, though, is I know that if this had voice acting, he would have the most obnoxious fucking voice.
Like,
I can hear in my head what his American, like English language American voice acting would be.
They'd give him an adult man's.
Terrible.
They give him an adult man's voice.
No, they wouldn't. They give him like. Okay, do y'all?
He would have Jupus Tuki's voice. Is what he would have.
Well, basically, either of y'all watched Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series?
Oh yes.
I've not.
Okay, I've watched some of the Abridged series. I haven't seen the
That's
actual.
totally understandable. But what's his name? Makoto, the little fucking kid.
Yeah.
The voice that they do for him on Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, that's the voice that I'm imagining for Anchar, and it makes me want to die.
Well, thankfully, there's no voice acting in this, so we're okay.
Thankfully.
Well, there is voice acting, but it's just for the girls and it's just for their attacks, so everything's fine. It's good. It's the original voice actresses. They're great.
Speaking of voice acting, this is a complete and total aside, but it's one of the coolest things that I've ever found out about retro games. So,
cool.
in weeaboo anime JRPGs, there is inevitably a theme song. We had the one in Rogue Galaxy. There were 40 different ones in Persona. Like that's just how it happens. The game that started that, because that feels like something for the PS2 era. Like when you think of that, like that started there, but it actually started on the Super NES for Tales of Fantasia. They chopped up the vocal line for the anime weeaboo song and put it in as drum samples, just like how they're using sound effects here. And so it just plays the sound effect of each line of the song on the correct beat. So you're just playing on the Super NES, and then suddenly there's vocals on the track that you're playing and this super important part of the game. And it's like blew everyone's mind at the time, and like it's blowing my mind now, like looking back at it, because like who does that on a Super NES? Like how? Like
those samples must have taken up a lot of space.
Yeah.
When I first played Sailor Moon, my mind was blown because I didn't know that video games could handle voices. Because up until then, every video game I played, like, the most vocals I got was, like, in Donkey Kong Country, when Diddy Kong wins, he makes monkey sounds.
Yeah.
And that's it.
The thing about the SNES is, it's weird to me that so many SNES games sound like ass, and I tend to not like the sound of the Super Nintendo in general, even though there's a lot of soundtracks that I like on it. It's funny that so many of them sound like ass because it's a sample-based sound chip. It can sound like anything you fucking want.
Yeah.
But yet, so many games just use like stock bad sounding string sounds. Meanwhile, you got stuff like Earthbound or Sailor Moon having voice clips, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you can do a lot if you get creative with your samples, you know?
Yeah.
So
that was a total aside.
This will be like 5 seconds. One extra aside. The first Square game to do that, I just learned yesterday, is Xenogears.
Oh, nice.
To have a vocal song, I mean.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
We'll probably go into this if Xenogears actually wins. But another thing that I learned, because when you type in Xenogears, the first Google autocorrect is, what the fuck is wrong with Disc 2? But what it was
it's perfect.
is so disc 2 has a lot of like you just sit for like 45 minutes and watch a cutscene instead of like playing a dungeon or something, and everyone's like, that's so dumb, like why did they do that? We just wanted to play the game. But they were running out of time because back in the day you had 2 years to make your video game or we shelved it and it never came out. There was no like pushing back a deadline or anything, and so they were running out of time, and he's like, and so Square was like, well, you could just end it at disc 1 and then you'll have another, you can come out with a Xenogears 2. And he's like, but that's not a good, like that's a cliffhanger to make you switch discs fast. It's not to wait for 2 years for the game to come out. So I'm just going to finish the story that I intended, and it's going to be weird, but I want you to have the full story. And I'm like, that's a really cool little factoid right there.
Also, the game is clearly so inspired by Evangelion, which is hilarious because it has the same ending as Evangelion, which is they ran out of budget and had to rush it at the end, just like Evangelion.
Hey, let's talk about Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon time.
Sailor Moon time.
Y'all start that while I plug in my computer.
Okay, great. So at the start of the chapter, Usagi and Luna are in Usagi's room and they're talking about the situation with Anshar. Shingo barges in and says that Chibiusa isn't acting like herself. She's being all sad and shit. Usagi and Shingo squabble, and then he leaves. Luna mentions that Sin must be Anshar's sister, based on what we saw. And maybe the lead developer of Bungie because she's patching Destiny.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let go of that joke.
Nope, it's a good one.
Their conversation gets interrupted by a phone call, and Usagi's mommy Kuko says it's Ami. So Usagi goes and gets the phone. Ami tells her that Mamoru is conscious again, and Usagi gets super excited, runs off to grab Chibiusa so they can go visit Mamoru, and totally leaves Ami hanging on the line.
But my favorite thing is when she like sets the phone down and turns around to do her dance, Ami then is saying, but he needs to keep her covering, so like let him rest for a day or so, like don't come in and just like be all over him. And she's just like, I'm gonna go run in and be all over Mamoru.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's really good.
Yeah. Well, and then as soon as Usagi leaves, you cut back to Ami on the phone going, hello?
And the first thing she does when you get over there is she's like, Usagi, you have to say goodbye and hang up the phone.
Yeah.
You can't just let people hang.
Yeah, it's totally optional to talk to her, but she scolds you for that. So
good.
Yeah, it's great. It's very true to form for Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm.
So Usagi and Chibiusa go into Mamoru's room, and they thank him for protecting Usagi, and he says, he's glad that they're safe, and then he has a coughing fit because he's got soap opera disease now.
He does.
He reassures them, and he says that he wants to talk to everybody, but he doesn't end up talking to everybody. But he had some sort of dream or premonition where the enemy went back to the past, and there were people at the Moon Palace holding the Barazui show. Which, if you remember, is the rose crystal that was made up for this game that represents Mamoru. Chibiusa asks if it's Anshar that has it, but Mamoru says that no, it wasn't him. He explains, though, that if they go to the Sea of Serenity on Earth, they might be able to go back to the past, and the real enemy is the friends we made along the way. Wait, no. He doesn't tell us because he's too busy dying of said soap opera disease.
Yeah, he's literally like, you have to go, and one more very important thing. But then they're like, well, I guess he'll never tell us. It's like, couldn't he just say it after he's done coughing? Nope.
Yeah,
wait.
No.
Nope.
We're just gonna leave. Fuck it. We'll never get it out of him. He's dying. Also of note, there is no Sea of Serenity on Earth.
Yeah, it's a moon thing.
Yeah, what I think they meant is that they should go to the approximate location of where the Sea of Serenity would be facing the Earth of that time, or where it would be on the Earth if the Earth was the moon.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't fucking know.
It's so bizarre. I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
What I think it probably was like, we need you to travel to this new map, and we don't have a good reason, so we're just going to say this.
Yeah.
and hope that you either don't know enough about the anime or geography to know that the Sea of Serenity is not a parking lot.
Look, I'm fruitlessly trying to insert logic into this video game about magical girls, all right?
My headcanon, it's more of a Twin Peaks thing, where it's like, regardless what the fuck Sea of Serenity means, there's clearly just having to find some invisible place where it's just like, just an area of, they're just having to find the exact spot where all the magic is for no reason.
Yeah, it's a Black Lodge kind of situation.
Exactly. But whatever. Who knows?
Quick aside for this next scene, because they go out to all powwow. And I mentioned like 2 weeks ago that the reason they did a 4-person sailor teleport instead of a 5-person sailor teleport is that they probably couldn't make a circle of people look good unless it was just 4 people. And then here we are with a really like perfect circle of everyone and their friends hanging out in Mamoru's front living room. Looks great. And I'm just like, dang it, they do this to me every week. I'm like, they couldn't possibly. And the next week, I'm like, okay, they can. So also, why didn't they?
Also, at this point, I'm like, this game's got too many fucking characters, and I don't fucking know who they are.
Read the manga.
I will.
So, yeah, you should. It's great. So anyway, Usagi and Chibiusa...
At your local library. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Libraries.
Usagi and Chibiusa leave the room, and Luna asks about what Mamoru said. She explains, and then Minako mentions suddenly that she can't remember anything from the past. This is really weird, because if you know Sailor Moon at all, you know that by this point in the series, all of their memories of the Silver Millennium have awoken, and they could recall their previous incarnations' lives on the Moon Kingdom. Which
then why was Sailor Venus like, why was I here? I never boned some dude on this town in Chapter 2. Like, if she can remember, why couldn't she just think back and be like, oh yeah, this place, they have a shrine for me. I know everything.
I don't know.
I'm trying to put logic back in this video.
You know what? You try living for a zillion years and see if you can remember everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I would think if I
boned, especially
if I couldn't remember everything, I would remember when they built a palace to me because I went there so often, and also that's where I left my space car.
Okay, yeah, that would probably stick in the mind.
Yeah.
So, everyone starts mentioning as well that they can't remember. Usagi seems to misinterpret this as they can't remember her now. And Luna tries to explain that they mean Princess Serenity, but even she forgets, which is extra bad because Luna wasn't reincarnated. She's been alive this whole damn time in a cryogenic stasis. So, like, even Luna, who's super old, like, cannot remember who Princess Serenity was.
So she's not forgetting past life, she's just forgetting regular life.
Yeah. She's just forgetting life. Which, I don't know, maybe Luna's old enough to start getting senile.
In the original dub, she sounds like it.
Oh, God, yeah. The original dub, that voice just kills me.
I gotta say, the whole memory loss, like, plot idea that's been in various media, it scares the hell out of me, man. It gets me so existential. Like, that's way worse than, like, dying or being maimed. Like, people start forgetting shit, and I'm like, oh, no!
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I love... for similar reasons, I love Jessica Jones season 1, because it's just like, no, like, I am my brain. If someone like messes with my brain, like that's way worse than like Ultron turning all my microwaves into robots or whatever other shows are about. Like,
exactly, it's the loss of self that's so scary.
Yeah. When I grow up, I'm gonna have so much amnesia.
What?
That's a Futurama line. Everybody in all my circus was getting amnesia. So
that's beautiful.
Anyway, so they speculate that the Despacito Senshi did something in the past. we can't do it. We'll get past it one day. Did something in the past to cause Usagi not to be Princess Serenity.
At least they didn't have to go to Bukaki Village.
Not yet. It's only a matter of time.
Now I'm imagining a fan that is a good artist doing a very ill-conceived fan art where it's like Despacito Senshi in Bukaki Village. And we're like, no, don't draw a fan art of that.
Please Please don't. And if
But
you do,
Essie,
don't show us.
Essie, you're the resident artist in our fan group. You should make this art. I
No.
give you
No,
you
permission.
shouldn't.
Post it in,
No.
the creations
not.
corner
Wink.
on Discord.
First image, you have to share it with everyone, or else you'll die. Anyway, so oh right, the Despacito Senshi did something in the past to cause Usagi not to be Princess Serenity, and maybe it would prevent her from becoming Sailor Moon. Ami thinks that maybe the Forsaken expansion of Destiny will prevent Mamoru and Usagi from being a couple.
Nice. And that's what really is upsetting to Usagi. They're like, you might not be Sailor Moon. And she's like, I guess that's bad. And they're like, and then you wouldn't be with Mamoru. And she's like, what?
No! Oh, yeah.
Do you think that this plot point is why Sailor Moon's stats level off and she becomes completely fucking worthless in this chapter?
Yeah, it's the time-space shit. They changed Destiny and now she sucks.
Yeah, basically. So Minako recommends that we use the time-space doorway. Ami says there's enemies around it, which I don't know how she knows that, other than, I guess she's...
The Despacito, since she said before, they're like, hey, we got your time-space doorway because Pluto ain't there, motherfuckers.
Oh, that's right,
They like bragged about using it, so...
Somehow I totally forgot about that. Usagi asks Sailor Pluto is okay, which is incredibly insensitive because I say you she dead. Ray asks if Chibiusa has any idea, but she says she doesn't. Again, Sailor Pluto should be dead. So, this is all really confusing for everyone. Luna says they should go anyway and check it out. And
what I read this as it is probably because the truth probably is they lost their notes halfway through this game and they had really strict anime notes for chapters 1 and 2, but here in chapter 4 they're just like, fuck, I don't have our story Bible anymore, so we'll just make shit up. But what it felt like, at least my headcanon, was that because their memories are starting to get changed, and also Destiny was changed, and spoilers, Pluto's back in this chapter, they she wasn't dead anymore. They couldn't remember her death.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so,
that makes
also,
sense, yeah.
if memory changes, you get kind of confused. So it's like, if she didn't actually die, then their memories would be confused. So now they're not sure. They're like, did she die? Did she not die? I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I buy that.
Yeah.
Good
job,
so, yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah.
Haruka says that not everybody should go to the time-space doorway, so we get our first choice of Senshi to go with us.
Who'd everybody pick?
Okay, well, we have to take Sailor Moon and Chibi Moon because Sailor Moon's the main protagonist and Chibi Moon is needed to get them there. But I chose Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter because they were my three strongest at the time.
I had Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter for the exact same reasons.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I actually made a funny tweet earlier that will explain who I had. Okay, yeah, I had Mars and Jupiter, just like y'all. And oh no, you actually don't need Chibi at this point.
Yes, you do.
This one, you're thinking of the next one where you can leave her behind.
Okay, well then I don't remember who I had.
Yeah, Chibiusa is needed because she's the one who gets you to the time-space doorway.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what I think is funny about this choice is there's plot-wise, there is a correct choice. You get more side scenes if you pick the correct ones.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I saw that. You're supposed to pick the inner Senshi. And I saw that. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I want my strong people. There's no reason for me to
this
go
one. For this one specifically, you're supposed to pick Mars.
All of the inner Senshi have extra dialogue with the boss rush that's coming.
Right, but that's a later choice.
That's a later choice again?
Yes. Yeah.
What the fuck was this choice for?
This was to go to the time-space doorway.
I remember now. Yeah, this choice is like 2 seconds, and then you choose again later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, but
we're not going to
the UFO yet. Sorry.
Yeah, no. We're not there.
Okay. Then I will remind me that I had this because it's a confusing bit of game design. When we get there for the UFO, but we're not to the UFO yet.
So, Chibiusa prays the literal god of time, Kronos, to take them there, like you do.
You know.
Yeah. We did a little bit of grinding in this area and then headed to the doorway. Sailor Pluto.
One thing I thought was cool about the moon mobs of grinding is they were the mobs from Sailor Moon R, the movie, which I had literally watched in theaters like the morning of me playing this chapter. And so I'm like, oh my god, look at all these weird ass flower people.
Yeah, the Cassanian blossoms.
Nice.
Called Darians for some reason. But.
Yeah, I don't know why they were called Darians, which is also weird because that's the name that was given to Mamoru in the original English dub.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was really bizarre.
So I don't think we mentioned, but there are 3 versions of this fan translation patch out there. I think we discovered this week that we're all on version 1.0, but version 1.1 fixed some screen flicker. Not important, but version 1.2 fixes all of these names. So I wonder if like this is on the list where they change it to Kusinian or something. But like all the names that we see, like probably send Eli into like a rage because they're not the names of the mobs that are on screen.
Very likely, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was hoping that I had that correct one, but here in the UFO, I'm like, oh no, this is not these people's names.
Yeah. We'll get to that. We will get to that. So we get to the door, and Sailor Pluto shows up and stops us, which is, again, odd. She says...
Sailor Moon is like, oh, Sailor Pluto, you're alive. So I don't know what they're remembering at all. At this point.
it's all over the place,
jumbled up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Destiny's changing, so you know.
Bungie just keeps patching it. You never know what the
left.
stats are.
Something Destiny, something change, something increase.
Yeah. Losing track of the meta.
Exactly. So Pluto says that there's evil afoot, and they shouldn't go inside the doorway because the Ginzuisho should be in danger. She ostensibly asks Sailor Moon to hand it over, and Sailor Moon agrees because she's an idiot.
Love it. Never get tired of it.
Anytime someone asks Sailor Moon for the Ginzuisho, she's like, I shouldn't, but alright, what's it gonna hurt? And then Pluto asks for Chibi Moon's Ginzuisho as well and calls her princess. However, Chibi Moon immediately sees through this because she thankfully inherited Mamoru's intelligence, and also Pluto never calls her that. Pluto reveals herself to be none other than Nurgle. She also comments, for me, that Sailor Mars isn't with us because I didn't bring Mars along. Apparently, she does say, or Mars mentions something to Nurgle if you have Mars there.
So what she says, because I had Mars is like, holy shit, it's Nurgle. And Nurgle says, don't dare to think that I have the same power as before. And Finn's like, that's okay though. The space-time soldier Sailor Pluto is in my hands. Just basically, it's like, you beat me once, but I'll kick your ass. And that's about it.
And then we kicked her ass.
Is Nurgle is Despacito Mars?
Yes.
Okay. They don't look that much like the people that are Despacitoing, so I get mixed up which one's which.
Yeah. Mars and Nurgle look the most different. Like, Marduk, Ishtar, and Nabu all bear sort of a resemblance, at least hair-wise, whereas Nurgle's hair is totally different from Mars's.
Yeah.
So we kick her ass, and she whines about not being able to beat us on her own. But she does have Sailor Pluto, who we definitely thought was dead from stopping time. So we agree that we need to save Pluto and go through the time-space doorway and enter the LSD zone.
The dungeon knowns.
Yeah, it's
probably my
cool.
favorite dungeon we've had so far.
A lot of games do this shit, and I love it every time, and this one is a very good rendition of this sort of idea. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically what we have are a bunch of rooms that some of them look kind of familiar, but some of them don't. There's chests in each of them, and there's a specific spot that you have to stand in to get teleported to the next room. And you have to kind of wander around to find that, although I found it on accident pretty much.
Yeah, some of them are like obvious. It's like, oh, here's like a doorway, and you go to the doorway and it moves. And some of them are like, oh, here's this big glowing green spot on the floor. But then you go like to your high school and go on the roof, and you're just like, where the hell do I go? And you randomly stumble over towards the edge, and it works. And so it's like some of them aren't obvious, some of them are super obvious, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like is the last one. they get you because you see the treasure chest, and so you make a beeline for the treasure chest, but the teleport is the space before the treasure chest. So I paused and I looked up what's in that treasure chest to see if I wanted to reload my save or not. It's like a consumable. It's nothing important. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, also, annoying thing about this dungeon is it's a minor annoyance, but it is backtrackable. So actually, that's not always the case. So sometimes you can warp both ways, but there's definitely at least one spot where I got to the warp, even though there was another direction I could have gone, and then I realized I couldn't unwarp, and I was like, "Oh, I totally missed a chest." Oh well, who cares?
Yeah. It was probably that last one.
Yeah, because the last one starts a cutscene.
Yep. And then you can't go back. Yep. Even though there's totally a door there, which is weird.
Yep.
So we got through that. We finally locate Pluto, who looks like she's being held hostage by the Makaiju tree, which, for those of you who watched the original anime, will know what that is. It's an energy draining tree from the original anime. There was a... The anime got ahead of the manga on several occasions, and when it did so originally, instead of going directly into the Black Moon arc, what they did was they created their own arc called the Makaiju, and they had these alien people who look like Fiore from the Sailor Moon R movie, named Ale and Anne, because it sounds like alien. Ha 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 ha. So clever. So clever. And they had to drain energy for this Makaiju that was basically their life tree. And if the Makaiju died, then they would die. And it was all sorts of dumb and a lot of pointless filler.
Nice.
And, Tuxedo Mask turned into the Moonlight Knight during that.
Ooh.
Which was...
Yeah, the OG anime gives him like 3 different secret identities, just as.
Yeah. So... we fight the big tree and Pluto is free. Huzzah! So then we get everybody together. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So it was at this point that, because you get the dark pupil in this, the red pupil in this dungeon, and the red pupil is a thing that gives you like plus 40 attack and plus 20 speed.
Yeah,
it's
super powerful
absurd.
accessory.
Like these aren't even like exaggerated numbers. It is like literally like multiple tens of attack and speed.
Yeah.
And so I had given it to Mars, and this was the first like fight I got to use it on, and I'm like, okay, let's see how it does. And she uses Burning Mandala, and we win. And I'm like,
wow,
well,
that's good.
I wasn't on that level, but it's still quite good.
I ended up giving mine to Saturn, but it still worked out quite well in my favor. So finally, everybody's together at last at the Hikawa Shrine. It only took us 4 chapters to get Sailor Pluto, but here we are.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah,
the gang's all here.
Finally,
we're all not dead.
Yes, for once, everyone is not dead. So Luna talks about destiny changing in the past, and Minako mentions, it might be nice for all of us to live in the Moon Kingdom again, and then Makoto yells at her for it, because, don't you like us all now? Why do you love us better back then? But she apologizes afterwards, and everybody kind of agrees that they can't go changing destiny because the game is already perfect.
They're basically acting like Super Smash Bros. Melee fans.
Yeah. Setsuna, who is Sailor Pluto, mentions that the enemy isn't really thinking of the consequences of changing destiny, which is a problem for her, being the guardian of time and all. But they have to do whatever it takes to keep the enemy from the time-space doorway.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I forgot while watching this is that her Setsuna persona is like 20 and like a scientist and a doctor, and so everyone's hanging around, and she's just like this grown-ass lady in a lab coat. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Pluto in her civvies. She was like, you guys can reincarnate as schoolgirls, whatever. I'm gonna be fancy.
Yeah. In the manga, she was actually a college student. She went to the same college as Mamoru.
Yeah.
Or
I think that's what it is. But she's definitely older than the 12-year-old Sailor Saturn.
Actually, I think she was older than Mamoru in the manga too.
Is like an old lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like so. another part of why my week was so good is that we got a confirmation that the new Digimon game is coming to coming westward.
Oh my gosh, you were so excited.
and also that there's a new anime movie project, because here in September for America, it was in May for Japan. The current movie project is over, and that instead of Ash being 10 forever, they're leveling up and they're going to be in college. And when they skipped from 18 scrawny little anime boy to college, it's like, this person's now looks like 45. Why can't you just draw people at an appropriate age? Why is there that anime jump from where you go to young kid to old man?
Yeah. When I was
the characters will mention it too. They'll be like, old man, who'll be like, who are you calling old man?
Yeah.
When I was in middle school, first getting into Sailor Moon, and looking up websites on how to draw Sailor Moon characters, because I got super hardcore into it. There was a website that I went to that was like, you want to draw Haruka and Michiru with smaller eyes, because apparently the older you get, the smaller your eyes get.
It's
okay.
So, but yeah, in the manga,
scientific.
That's right. Sailor Pluto.
That's actually very true for the screenshots I'm looking at right now. It's like,
yeah,
Mars has 10 pixel eyes, but Saturn has 13 pixel eyes, but then Haruka only has 8 pixel eyes.
yeah. Setsuna in the manga had actually gone to school with Motoki and his girlfriend Reika, who Motoki is the guy from the Game Center. Anyway, so
back to the game. Enough of an aside about ages.
Usagi says she wants to talk to Mamoru, but she also wants to know where Mare Serenitatis is. Although the version that we have butchers this to Marl Serenitatis. So Serenititties. That's immediately what I thought, or Serenitatas. Yeah, something to that effect. Haha, boobs. Ami tries to scan for it, but there's no data found, because there's no data on her computer about the moon, apparently. So Usagi decides to go to a bookstore for the first time in her fucking life, and get a book about the moon.
I love this part. It's so funny to me.
There's besides this part being hilarious, there is a subtle game design joke that they snuck into it that I'll get to, but I saw it on my screenshots and it reminded me, and so it's beautiful.
I had a aspect of it where it's I don't know, you're supposed to be these ancient gods of time and space. I know that's an exaggeration, but whatever. And you know all this shit, and you're literally from the moon, and then they're like, man, I don't know shit about the moon. I better go to the normal-ass bookstore and get a book about the fucking moon. Literally, not even a special book, just a regular fucking National Geographic book about the moon from the store has the information that she apparently did not already know. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and it should be mentioned too that Ami's computer is an ancient device that she's always had. This is Sailor Mercury's thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird that it doesn't have any moon info, but whatever. No. I guess it hasn't been updated in a long time.
Yeah. So Destiny was patched, not her computer.
Yeah, exactly. So we head over to the bookstore, and there's an old man who takes us around to try to find a book on the moon. He points out a Nakayoshi magazine in the process, which is an in-joke, because that's the magazine that Sailor Moon was originally published in.
Nice.
And then he tells us it's 1,000,000 yen for the book, which we obviously can't afford.
I could afford it.
When
I guess I
Usagi
could too, but I didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
When Usagi freaks out about the price, he acts creepy and says he'll sell it for 300 yen because she's just so cute.
Mm-hmm.
So we get it for 300 yen.
And here's where the game design joke has. So she pays for the book in leaves, but if you check your inventory, she also bought the Sailor Moon manga. It shows up in your inventory. She was like, "That's me."
Shit, that's
and she
really
buys
good.
It. And so you have Nakayashi, and all it does is restore 1 EP. It's the most useless item in the whole game. But
totally didn't notice that.
Did any of y'all try saying no here?
No,
I
No.
should have.
I didn't know what would happen.
It's probably just a but thou must, but you never know. And I hadn't saved in a while, so I was just like, I'll just say yes.
Yeah. The cashier asks like, "Oh, what would you want a moon book for? Are you going to be an astronaut? You look like you could be a moon princess." And that's weird. But anyway, yeah.
Interesting. I wonder what makes you say that. Is it the fact that I'm a moon princess?
Like, I say you say that to all the girls.
Yeah, Usagi's like, well, gotta go bye. So we go back to the shrine, and Usagi shows Ami the book, at which point Ami can use her computer to find where they can reach the Sea of Serenity. And it turns out that it's conveniently in the Harumi district in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Apparently
Okay.
this... Yeah. They try to explain it. They try to logic it and say that, Harumi is a clear ocean, and that's what Sea of Serenity means. But, what a shock. The logic is kind of flimsy. But if they go there, they can travel back to the past. So we head over to Harumi, and they have another in-joke about Sailor Moon shows and the voice actors.
I bet the anime was made in Harumi, is what it sounds like.
I believe that's correct. I didn't take the time to look it up, but
yeah.
I assume that that's what the joke meant.
Yeah, because she's like, there's always a Sailor Moon show going on. I wonder if the voice actors are taking a day off. It feels like that's the sort of joke for it.
Yeah, yeah.
It felt like in Supernatural, there's an episode where they go to Hollywood to a film set, and they're like, why is it so cold in Hollywood? This feels positively Canadian, because they were shooting on their own film set in Vancouver, Canada.
Cute.
Steven Universe does that too. They go to Korea, and then they go to an animation studio in Korea, and they see someone animating Greg. Yeah. So Minako notices a weird sound, and then they finally see the Black Moon's UFO hovering over them. Ray mentions that destiny must have been changed for them as well, which is really sad because the Ayakashi sisters, who were some of the main villains of the Black Moon arc, were leading happy lives, which was from the original anime. In the manga, they all just got vaporized.
Yeah.
So Uranus again says they shouldn't all go into the UFO, and so we split into teams of 5. You have to take Sailor Moon, but you have a choice of who to take here. The correct choice for the story is to take the original Sailor team.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I gave this game too much credit at this point, because Haruka doesn't say, we'll wait here, you guys run on ahead. It's like, we have another mission we have to do. We'll go do that mission, you go do this mission. And so my brain, who has played Final Fantasy VI, is like, okay, cool, this is going to happen. So I'm not going to bring Saturn with me. I'm going to bring like 3 strong people and 2 weak people, so that both groups like level up the little ones and they're not completely unused.
Yeah,
but no, that's not it. I just got my ass kicked in the UFO a lot.
I thought of that for a second, but then I was like, yeah, I should have 2 evenly done teams. But then I was like, I don't remember which character is which or how strong they are because I'm me. So instead, I literally my team of 5 was, when you're going to the team pick screen, there's 2 rows of 5 each. I just picked the top row. I was like, I'll just literally pick the first 5 in order. That's my team, and I'll just, whatever happens, I'll fucking deal with it.
Well, technically, that was the correct choice, because the top 5 were all the Sailor team.
Let me make
that was
sure.
Mercury,
So that's Mercury, Mars,
Jupiter, and Venus. Yes.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So that's the correct choice for the plot. But for the game design, you were supposed to bring Uranus and Neptune because their special items are here at this point.
I noticed that. I use them.
I'm just like,
use them.
Well, dang.
Yeah.
But, also, I love that you got Pluto's items right before you got Pluto, which is the main reason I brought her. So who I brought was Pluto, Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter. I just didn't bring Venus of the original, but I was like, oh, Pluto's going to be the weakest. I'm going to have her here with my Mars powerhouse to help her level, and then I could give her all of her stuff.
Which one did you leave out, Sam?
Venus.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And so I realized that they had special things because like each person was talking to each one, and then Venus's buddy shows up and it's just like, let's fight. And I'm like, oh, that's it. That's all I get.
Pluto is great gameplay wise because she's got her time stop ability. It uses
she has a debuff. Like,
yeah.
That's amazing for this game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's the only one who gets a debuff. She uses all of her EP, but it stops the enemy team for 3 turns, which
Damn.
is super
That's enough
helpful.
to kill them most of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I should use her. Damn.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of grinding. I got them up to level 40 because I was like, I'm not taking any chances, and I'm using the fast forward feature on my emulator. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna like watch YouTube, and I'm just gonna like grind through this. And then I had all the yen, so I bought 99 toilettes and like 95 colognes.
Yep.
So I was like, I am set for life.
Yeah.
So I've got a little tip to share here, and also just a little
Mhm.
plug. That new SMT mobile game is great, and it's especially great when you're grinding in Sailor Moon. I got wrecked by the boss, so I didn't get all the way to 40 because I didn't have the fast forward feature, but I was able to grind up to like, I don't know, 32, 33, all the way from like 20. It's nice because you level up like every battle or every other battle.
They give a lot of
They give a
experience
lot,
in there.
and although I will say for the first 4 or 5 levels, the random battles here, the random mobs are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the ones where it's 4 enemies, it's like 2 of one and 2 of the other. It was as hard as a boss. It's like, I'm going to die. I might die in this battle. In fact, I actually started running away from it until I leveled up with some, which is pretty cool. It's cool when the actual random mobs are that hard.
Yeah.
So one thing about this UFO is we've glossed over it. Basically, you show up and you fight all the Black Moon people in order, but you do it one after the other.
We haven't.
No breaks.
Yeah, we just hadn't gotten there yet. But
Yeah,
go on.
yeah.
There's like no plot before it, so it's fine if we just get there now. But the rooms, because this is another like door maze to get there, but the rooms are really small, and for the first time in the history of this game, the encounter rate isn't atrocious, so you can make it to like all of the doors without getting a thing. So I thought they were like no mobs the first time I went through it. And I got all the way to the boss, and then they one shot me. So she. Cohen didn't one shot me, or Kuan didn't one shot me,
Oh, God.
and but like it was really really rough. But like she was kind of the de facto leader in the anime, and so I thought like that was going to be it.
Right.
And then it's like no, here's some more, and I'm like, well, I just used literally every single one of my healing items, so goodbye.
Yeah.
So with oh no, go on.
No.
So then I was like going back, and I hit a random mob when I was going back the second time, and I'm like, oh, this is what I was supposed to be happening, and then I grinded into like 33.
The reason it works that way is I'm pretty sure pretty much almost every RPG works this way. The encounter rate resets when you go through a door, so it's actually the same encounter rate as everywhere else. It's just that you get to the end of the because it's like encounter rate's usually like an invisible meter that fills.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the meter just resets every time you go through the door, so you never get a battle.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy games aren't like that, actually.
Yeah. So
Different way of doing it.
we head through the mirror maze and eventually meet up with the Ayakashi sisters. The names are totally butchered in the translation, except for Pets. Pets is the only one that gets her name right.
Really? I was like, Pets, what is this? A freaking Ubisoft DS game from 2006?
It's short for Pet Site. They're all named after gems.
Okay.
As is most of the people in the for that you fight are usually.
Yeah.
Did they really make the grade?
Anyway, moving on. Koan is actually short for the Japanese word for Kermisite, which Koan sounds way better than Kermis. So we've got Koan first. Kermis the frog here.
Kermis the rock here.
Kermis the rock here. So we've got Koan first, and they're all basically like the Oppositio Senshi before the Oppositio Senshi, because they all have Senshi counterparts. So Koan is Mars's counterpart. She uses fire abilities. She's also super weak, which is weird. But
she's also Summer's favorite villain in the history of the
Oh, really?
series.
Nice.
Nice. Mine has yet to show up, but she will eventually.
Yay.
So Berthier was a bit harder. She has a dark water ability which hits everyone, and it's pretty rough.
It's super rough, especially because my powerhouse at this time was Mars, who is weak as shit to water. So
yeah.
She was like getting killed each time. So what I did in this one, because I couldn't keep everyone alive. So all I did is I had Sailor Moon, who was in the back, so she was tanking all the damage. I had her cursor memory on revive, use a life water on Mars, and I had Mars's cursor memory on do your big bad scary move, and then I just held it because I wouldn't die. I just could do that over and over until she would just do a normal attack on Sailor Moon, so then Mars could hit her and kill her, and that was the only way I got through it.
Yeah.
It was rough.
I forgot to mention before going into the fight, there is a little dialogue where Sailor Moon asks why everybody's evil again. Pets answers that Saphir forced them to come back. Saphir is the younger brother of the Black Moon leader, Prince Demond. After Saphir came back to life, because of destiny changing, etc., etc. But if we defeat them, then they can go back to their original destiny, which is to be fucking dead, like in the manga. And
so like each person begs to die is basically what comes happening.
Yeah, the part was really good. They were literally like, "We don't want to fight you. We don't like being bad. Like, we're really sorry about this." It was a great scene.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like I that was something that I liked in the original anime over the manga, was that there was a lot of redemption for villains instead of just, okay, you're fucking dead now, which gave them a lot more character. That's definitely one plus for that. And by having the Sailor team, each of them will speak to their respective counterparts and say, you know, why are you doing this? Don't you feel love, et cetera, et cetera? And they explain, we don't want to. We're doing this because we're forced to. So I would imagine that there is different dialogue by not taking the original 4, but did you get any of that special dialogue with not having Venus but having the other 3?
Yeah, so I got because before each fight is where each person for instance, just because I have the whole thing screenshotted for Jupiter, she's like, "Why pets? Why weren't you happy before?" And Jupiter's like, "Please forgive us, foolish people. We just want to return to happy destiny." Like, you get that sort of thing from each person, but then
you didn't get Calaveras.
The yellow one shows up and just like, fight me one-on-one.
Yeah. So Calaveras is the next fight after Koan and Berthier. She has this ability called Dark Butte, I guess is how it's pronounced, or Butte. It's dark butt. And it takes away half of a Senshi's health every time she uses it. Thankfully, it's half of what they currently have and not half of their max.
It's gravity from Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And then we fight Pets, and Pets has a big lightning AoE, and she's really tough, but because I was level 40, I kicked her ass.
The only one that gave me trouble was the Dark Water Lady, because it specifically attacked Mars. Everyone else, like, especially, so like, I don't even remember anything about the Venus counterpart. I can't remember her name right now. Calaveras. The only thing I remember about her fight was that she didn't talk to me. I don't remember any of her stuff because she's weak to fire. So Mars goes in and just destroys her in one turn. And I'm like, okay, well, this is different than the Dark Water was.
Even my overleveled ass had a bit of trouble with the Dark Water. Like, I didn't die, but I had to like pay attention. Unlike the jumping frog of Calaveras County, which took no effort at all.
Yeah. But yeah, the hardest part about this whole thing is that it's a boss rush. You do not have time between fights to heal up or anything.
Can't even go to the menu. Yeah, it's just like bam, 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 bam.
You do get your EP back between each one because that's how EP works in this game. Like, anytime you have a new fight, you regain it all. But for your health, like, you're just kind of boned.
Yeah. Which means you got to be careful to stay healed because, like, you want to make sure that at the end of the battle you're healed. Because who knows, the next battle might wreck you immediately, right? So you have to stay healed even on the easier battles just to be safe.
Yeah. What makes Pets really difficult, though, she has a Petrify ability, which is basically death light. So if all of your senshi get petrified, it is game over. And she's the fourth boss, so you have to do that whole thing all over again, including the cutscene before. Or no, okay, there is a Luna P in the UFO, so never mind.
Yeah, there is. Thankfully,
for a second, I was like, "Wait, is there?" Yes. Okay.
Yeah, you have to do the whole UFO over again, but if you just take the left mirror, it's the easiest door maze ever. Because I always like in band, you start off on your left foot like each time, like that's just how it goes. So I always go left first. I'm just like, like anytime I'm finding out a maze, I turn left entirely until I reach a dead end, and then I work my way backwards. Yeah, so the one I just happened to guess was the correct one.
Oh my gosh, I just realized. So I also did that because as a computer scientist, I was basically just like doing a depth first search. But since I was under leveled and didn't get to level any because I missed all the battles, it was really more like a death first search.
Well done. So...
This next part, so after you beat everybody, Usagi has like an existential crisis, and it was like awesome because Usagi never has an existential crisis. Like I love her, don't get me wrong, but as far as character development goes, she gets a new trinket every season, and like that's about it. Like it's still Mamoru and eating, and like that's how it works, and like that's fine. But like she doesn't ever like sit and reflect very much, and so the fact that like we got a little monologue from her, like I promised not to hurt anyone I loved and not let anyone be killed, but as time goes on, more people's lives will be ruined by the shit that we do, and I'm just like, damn, Usagi. Like,
and I think the testament. Oh, I was going to say, even though I'm a total noob to Sailor Moon, I understood what was happening between these characters and their emotions. I could kind of intuit the backstories of these villains, even though I don't know anything. So that's a testament to this game's writing.
Good. Yeah, awesome. Usagi is a bit more reflective and introspective in the manga, because Usagi in the manga is like, it's like a toned down version of the anime Usagi. Because, you know, like I said in the beginning, in the anime, they all kind of had their personalities bumped up to 11.
Right.
I think in the interest of making it like really interesting for children.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the manga is more for young women than it is for it's more for teenage girls. But anyway, Luna calls Sailor Moon on the communicator after that and says that they found the spot for the Sea of Serenity. Sailor Moon mentions she doesn't know how to leave the UFO, but somehow Luna knows how this thing works and tells her how to get out.
And it's literally the door right there.
Yeah, there's a door. Fucking use it. So then we cut away from them and we see Apsu, who is the leader of the Despacito Senshi. She
and Apsu has a different anime face, which means they could have given Fareg a frickin' anime face and let Apsu keep just one the whole time. Like, it's not a big reveal that like her hair is pushed back now. Like, she doesn't need both of these. But
well, the so one funny. Before is like they have her face partially obscured. So it's like to make her more mysterious. But now we get to see her full face. She starts talking about her poor aching titties. Like, literally, she says her breasts hurt, which I think maybe she was saying she had chest pains in the original Japanese or something like that. But
yeah, I didn't take this as, because she says breast, singular, not breasts.
Oh, okay.
So I took it as chest pain.
It just sounded funny, the way she said it.
Maybe she's a uniboob.
Yeah. She's like, my singular boob hurts.
She's got one super boob. So she calls for Anshar and tells him that Prince Demond, who is the leader of the Black Moon family, has scampered away with the Barazui show, and that the Sailor Senshi are about to head to the past as well, which is bad because Destiny can never be patched if Mamoru is saved. She mentions that they don't need the Ginzui show at the moment, which Anshar thinks is weird since it's all-powerful, but apparently the Despacito Senshi went back to the first season of the original Sailor Moon anime because the Ginzui show is still in 7 pieces called the Nijizui show or the Rainbow Crystals.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, in the original anime, as a plot device for filler purposes, they basically decided that the Ginzuisho had been broken up into 7 rainbow crystals and infused in 7 different beings. I was going to say people, but one of them is a cat.
Nice.
A cat
Classic.
named Rhett Butler, who is massive. He is like the fattest cat in the world, and he falls in love with Luna. And that is one of Ken's favorite episodes of the original anime. It's
That's
really,
amazing.
it's really
Excellent.
hilarious and cute. Zoisite has to go through a sewer with a whole bunch of rats, and it's really humiliating for him, and it's great. So they apparently only need to get 1 rainbow crystal in order to prevent the Ginzuisho from being reformed. So it's fine. Really, it's fine.
Yeah. It's if I remember correctly, I think she mentions like going back to the past to do this, to break the current one. Not like a suddenly this legendary silver crystal that we got earlier, we broke it and something messed up.
Yeah, she had mentioned that Sin had gone back to the time before the Ginzuisho had reformed.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
I guess I
here,
glossed over that.
I love how these characters... Did y'all realize how, at this moment, these characters are being smarter than every character in every JRPG ever? Because they're like, this thing has 7 pieces. We don't need to get all 7 of them. We just get 1, hold on to it, and don't let the other people have it.
Yeah, pretty
Which
much.
is like, in like Final Fantasy IV, right? It's like, we collected the 4 things. The bad guys wanted to get the 4 things, but we got the 4 things. Oh no, the bad guys showed up and stole all 4 things. Maybe we shouldn't have gone to the bad guys' castle holding all 4 of the things. No, you don't need the 4 things. The bad guys want them. So you just get 1, go hide it on a fucking mountain, problem solved.
Yeah.
You're done. And that happens in like every fucking RPG, every fantasy novel, not even just Japanese stuff. Like, it's so common. And these people are being so smart here. And I'm like, yes, there we go. You just get the one.
Time.
I want to play the RPG now where you go get one of the things that the bad guys want, and then the rest of the game is just you sitting in a mountain for all eternity.
Or like you fucking like shoot it into space, and they're like, okay, you're done.
So that RPG would have like a grand like opening like 6 hours of RPG combat, and then you get the one thing, and then it just becomes Harvest Moon, and you're just living out the rest of your life. But you have that magical thing stored away.
Fuck though, this is actually brilliant. This is hilarious. I'm going to
I
make
love this idea.
game.
Yeah. Every now and then the bad guys show up and try to get the thing from you, and you beat them and you keep it. And
they don't have that much strength because they don't have all the things yet. So it's not that hard.
It's good. It's perfect.
So
Room Factory 5 coming to you soon.
Apsu also mentions that if they do this, the social differences between Chibiusa and Anshar would disappear. This means that Chibiusa wouldn't be a princess, and Anshar could like totally hook up with her. Although that they're not thinking of the consequences, as Pluto said, because that also means that Chibiusa would be long dead in the time Anshar is from, because she's actually a 900-year-old girl in a 10-year-old body. Read the manga. The whole reason that she has lived this long is because the Ginzuisho has prolonged everyone's life on Earth. Yeah. So, yeah, Pluto was right. They're not thinking about the repercussions of what they're doing, and so, like, Anshar is going to try and go out with Chibiusa, and oops, she's dead.
And, like, this goes back to, like, the flashbacks, like, when we saw Nick Fury Apsu going around and building her Avengers or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, every single person was like, well, we don't have any proof that the Ginzuishu is good, so it's probably evil and the source of all of our problems. Like, just like write into Serenity. She's a benevolent queen. Just like send her a letter, be like, hey, can you explain like the history of this so I can understand what's going on? Like, no, they just assume that it's bad and therefore everything will be fixed, and don't even like Google it. Realize, oh no, that's the reason we're alive right now.
That's a thing that happens very, very frequently in Sailor Moon, and like it's a lot of victim blaming. It's, the Ginzuisho exists, and people want it because they crave power, and therefore the Ginzuisho is bad for existing.
Yeah.
Like, and the Ginzui show, by the way, is Sailor Moon's life force. That is her soul. That is her soul in crystal form. And if it's gone, Usagi is dead. So, they're basically like, Usagi's bad because she exists, which sucks for her.
Yep.
So Anshar says he'll tell his sister about the rainbow crystals and then wonders inwardly why Apsu is reviving the Black Moon. Apsu then mentions that only Anshar can cross time out of them, apparently, and that's why Apsu needed him so that she could see the past. And she says that she actually really needs the Ginzui show so she can get better. So Anshar heads back to the past.
Because she also has soap opera disease, because she turns around and coughs dramatically.
Yep. Soap opera disease is a common thing in Sailor Moon as well. Watch the live-action Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. There's a prominent character with soap opera disease that actually ends up turning out really, really sad toward the end.
Which reminds me, we need to schedule when that will happen, because that's what we're watching for our party before the final episode in 2 weeks. So if you haven't seen it, within the next 2 weeks, you can watch it with us.
Oh my god. It's going to be great. It's going to need to be...
Confused.
Summer said I have to buy her wine to watch that in her house.
So
she saw the trailer and she's like, no, like never put this down in my house.
No, it's so amazingly terrible and great. I watched the whole thing in college because it came out in 2003. I watched the entire thing back when it was first releasing, and I was like, this is the worst, best thing I've ever seen. Or the best worst. I'm not sure which.
So if you haven't seen it, Michael, here's what they decided to do to be true to the anime.
Oh boy.
The girls will go to transform, so they are standing in front of a green screen on a spinning green disc, and somebody is spinning it so that they spin around in place, like in the anime, instead of like doing a twirl or like changing the thing. They try to do it exact, and it ended up being the grossest looking weird thing in the entire world.
I
That's par for the course for the rest of it.
Yeah.
So something I found out yesterday, I don't, well, I've never done this before. I was looking up on Google my birthday to see who I share a birthday with. First of all, I share a birthday with Thelonious Monk, which is awesome. But also Ed Wood. So,
fun.
Yeah. So anyway, I've terrible, awful bullshit is in my blood.
Great. You'll love this then. So we see then a flashback, or I guess flash forward, of people in Crystal Tokyo in the future running from the Black Moon family. And then we finally get Sin's backstory, as well as Anshar's by extension. Apparently her and Anshar's parents were killed by the Black Moon clan, and Sin resents the Sailor Senshi for only protecting Queen Serenity and not their parents. Apsu calls out to her and offers her the power to kill the Senshi, so she agrees, but only if Apsu agrees to take Anshar as well. So they both get beamed up, and then that's the end of that cutscene.
And you see when they get beamed up, Apsu is like, oh, "This boy's powers are."
That's right. Yes,
he's now going to be the key to everything.
Yeah,
exactly.
The idea how she just takes him along just cuz, and then she's like, "Wait, I just lucked the fuck out." Like whatever her plan was originally. As soon as she sees what's this? Darn it! Let's scroll up slightly. Anshar, yes. As soon as she sees Anshar's power, she's like, it's like you can almost see the gears turning in her brain. Like that's like her turn almost, where she goes from doing one thing to another thing. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I like that scene a lot.
Yeah, it was great. So we get back to the Sailor Senshi, and they end up in the Earth of the past, which apparently means Turkey. We meet up.
Everyone knows that Turkey was in Japan in the past.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's how that worked.
Drift.
So we meet up with Radina again, who, if you remember her, she was from Sailor Venus's part of Chapter 2. She says they've been waiting for the Sailor Senshi to arrive, and we head to her house to rest, although Sailor Moon is reluctant because Radina is a stranger, and she's, like, contemplating this whole, like, going with strangers thing, and everybody leaves without her.
Yeah, she's literally just like, Wait,
Venus is like, Venus is like, oh, I've met her before. She's not a stranger. She's a good friend. And everyone's like, oh, okay, if you trust her, we trust her. And Usagi's sitting there just like,
yeah, I don't know about this. And then suddenly everyone's gone, and Usagi is a bit of a space case.
Eli, I have a quick question for you. Are these characters, all these towns, these JRPG-esque towns you go to, are these from anything, or are they just made up?
Nope, they are made up specifically for this game.
It's just interesting because Radina, this is Turkey. It's not Russia or Slavic country, but it's close, right? Anyway, Rodina means homeland in Russian.
Oh, okay.
It's what's often translated as motherland, like when you're being stereotypical about Soviets. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. It's probably not related, but Turkish might be similar, cool. Right? Maybe it's a similar root. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I did study Russian a couple of years.
Or because it's Japanese, it probably comes from radish or something.
Yeah.
Akira Toriyama didn't name these characters.
Right?
That's true. I was gonna say, this isn't Dragon Ball Z.
I have the headcanon that Akira Toriyama was trotting out the names for DBZ and looking around his kitchen and was like,
absolutely,
vegetables.
Yeah.
Radishes.
He's stereotypically known to be like a lazy motherfucker, so he probably literally was just looking around and just naming things, and that's what he names to people.
Well, in Magic Knight Rare, all of the second season villains are named after cars.
I love that.
So like one of them is Geo Metro.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's great.
That's beautiful.
So we cut to the Despacito Senshi again, who talk about how much Destiny sucks and they want to patch it already. Marduk says Sin's supposed to get the Barazui show, and Sin says they need to find Prince Demand. So then they teleport away. We get back to the Sailor Senshi. Radina says the arrival was prophesied, and Uranus comments that maybe she can predict the future. Radina tells them that Beryl's like way better at it because we need a reason to visit Queen Beryl in the past. I don't know. So she leaves, and then we head off to find Venus's Ark.
And it would be better if we broke up into groups of about 5 people.
Yes. So again, we split up into groups, and I made a horrible mistake. I decided that I was going to take my lowest level Senshi because, hey, Sailor Moon can carry us. Also, Chibiu says, again, required for this because Barazui show something reasons that we're forcing you to take your shittiest character along. So I took Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto because I was like, well, Saturn's pretty strong still, even though she's only like level 19, 20. So I could probably do okay with her, and then Pluto and Neptune can get some levels. And then we get to the cave with the Ark, and suddenly we meet Rufio. Rubius. He yammers on about how we're totally gonna die this time. And I got my ass kicked. Because Rubius is a monster. So I reset and switched parties, and I switched out Pluto for Jupiter, and Jupiter whooped his ass.
I wrecked him. One thing I like here is I like how after you beat him, there's no dialogue. Literally, you beat him and he's gone, and there's not even a cutscene where the characters say "Let's continue." It's just like you immediately go back to gameplay and you just keep fucking walking.
There's no pomp and circumstance for Rubius because fuck him.
Okay, bye.
Because like these Black Moon people are like side quests, but his is the only one to like hint you that the other people might be around and want to fight you, and it's weird that like the people don't then say, like your group doesn't say, that's weird, I wonder if there are others. It's just like they say nothing, but then there are others that you can go out and find and fight.
Yeah.
So, it's bizarre.
Yeah. And I will do that at some point. I just haven't yet.
I definitely recommend finding the dragon. The dragon turns into one of them. The dragon gives you a second red pupil. So.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's big.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was way I was way under leveled to go and take on the dragon because, like, in the guide that we're following, they do like the Silver Millennium and then they go back to the dragon. But I went in with my cheesy setup where I have like a powerhouse and then 4 people to just heal the powerhouse and just like survived for like 30 turns and took the dragon down. So now I have my second red people and
Sam,
nothing will ever stop me.
Sam, I have some good news for you. I need to check to make sure, but I think there's a third red people.
Oh,
because you just said there's a second one.
Because
you just said the dragon has a second one, and I'm like, wait, but I found a second one in a chest. I'll have to go back to my game. I'll have to go back to my game and make sure. Maybe I
give Saturn 3 red pupils. End of game.
So I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
I thought there were only 2. Like the guy I was looking at, I could have sworn was like, if you want a second one, go do the dragon side quest. But if there's 3, this changes. I didn't even think to give both to Mars. I'm going to go cheese the rest of this game and give 2 red pupils to Mars. Because Jupiter has the other one, but Mars is faster. And so Mars always goes first. So why not just give her all of the things?
Yeah, there you go. So we get into the Ark, and Luna has to tell Sailor Moon how to pilot it. And then suddenly we're transported to Final Fantasy VI.
Yay!
They even use
Mode 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say they use the fancy Mode 7 graphics and everything, and
it's so funny how they did that for this one part.
Yeah,
yeah,
but they did a great job with it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So Sailor Moon, as you know, takes place on Earth. So your world map is Earth, and I learned today how really hard it is to travel the world in which I actually currently at this moment live in Mode 7 graphics. I'm like, is this Florida? Is this Sweden? I don't know what I'm looking at.
My tip, use L and R to strafe left and right, and don't ever actually rotate your camera. It's way easier. Just point north all the time. It's way easier that way.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try that. Because I had a hell of a time navigating. So I just headed directly to the North Pole. You can go to the other villages like Medias and which was in that's right. Kynes is Switzerland and Medias is in Canada. And I think that's where the other Black Moon people are, right?
Yeah. And so I went to I went to Medias first because remember I forgot Jupiter's thing, and so I was like, this is where like you get to go back and you get to do things. So I go down underground for Jupiter's, and the village has been rebuilt down. Well, I guess hasn't been unbuilt at that point. So like there's just a second or a third, I guess, village down there underground, and there's no chests to be found.
Aw, damn it!
I'm like, dang it! Jupiter's just going to be subpar for the rest of the game. There's nothing I can do about it.
Well, that sucks.
So I went to Mercury's, which is where the dragon is. It's in Kynes Village. And like the first thing you get down when you get there is this little boy is like, there's a dragon in the North Cave. Can you kill it? It's fucking scary. And I'm like, okay.
And so I did.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah. So we headed to Endymions Village first because that was just where we ended up. Going through the like frozen wasteland. There's a bunch of chests in that area, which is really nice. And the mobs give pretty decent XP, so I'm probably going to do some grinding there.
Yeah, it's a good place to grind.
Yeah,
that's where I got up to 40 using that place.
Gotcha.
I was only 30 before that.
A good day to grind hard.
So we head up to the castle, and we went in, and a bunch of people were like, "Whoa, hey, I think the Moon Princess is here." So Luna drags Usagi out and is like, you can't go in looking like that. They're all going to recognize you. Use your disguise pen that you've had forever.
To wear a shawl, but not change your face or your hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, it's the same disguise she wears everywhere she wears a disguise.
Right, exactly. She turns herself into a servant, and so she's got like this servant's outfit on, but she looks like Usagi in a servant's outfit. So, but somehow that means they don't recognize her anymore. So you can find the Shiteno in there, which is neat, but they don't really have anything super important to say.
This most of these side quests here made me feel like when you walk past Saturn's throne room in the last chapter.
Yeah.
It's just like this is here for you to be like, oh cool, like they did their homework. This, of course, the Shatino would be here and not evil at this point, so you can go and see them existing, but that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. And then there's an interesting cutscene when you get to the throne room where you see the King of Earth, not Endymion, who is the prince, but his dad, who never showed up in the anime or manga.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. So he's talking to his guards about protecting the Moon Kingdom and whether or not they should. The guards don't want to, but they agree like that they're just going to do whatever Beryl says because she's hot, I guess.
I mean, she is hot.
Yeah, she is kind of hot.
I get
it. She's great in Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. Oh, I love that lady. So we head to the opposite side of the frozen wasteland after that, and we find Beryl's castle. The guards refuse to let Sailor Moon in, and she calls them tightwads, which I thought was kind of funny. But then she disguises herself again, tries to go inside, and the guards have to be creeps like every other dude in this game, for fuck's sake. But they finally let us in. So we wander around for a while, and then we find Beryl standing on her balcony, pining for Endymion, and how it's weird that the evil comet on the way isn't totally manipulating the people on Earth yet. She hears Usagi approach and doesn't recognize her because Usagi is totally disguised as a servant and somehow doesn't at all resemble Princess Serenity like that. Beryl then monologues about the evil comet and how it'll awaken the god of darkness, and that's totally Metal, or in this case, Metalia. Yeah.
I'm assuming that was a clever joke.
Queen Metalia was the evil force that gave Beryl her powers in the original.
I see, it is a clever joke.
In the original Sailor Moon series.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm laughing.
She called out for Metalia before she turned into the giant flower version of herself that we kicked her ass last week.
Cool.
So Beryl wants that power because it could destroy everything, and it's cool, and she wants it.
I also want the power of Hetalia.
Yeah. It's oh god, no, not the power of Hetalia, please. That is not a thing I want. It'll also help her get Endymion for herself.
Yep.
Usagi,
get that boy.
Yeah. Usagi says that if love is captured with evil power, though, it isn't true love, and tells Beryl not to give up, which is weird because Usagi's usually really bad about not acting jealous over Mamoru. Beryl thanks her and mentions that she kind of resembles Serenity, and then sends her off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I read that scene with Beryl to be like at the end she was like, I know you're fucking Serenity, but thanks for talking to me. Like it didn't seem like you know what? Now that we've had this everything, you kind of look like Serenity. It's like I saw through your fucking disguise, but like no one wants to talk about my feelings, so thank you for being here. Probably giving too much credit.
That might be the proper way of reading it. I was certainly more literal with it, like I am with just about everything.
It also might be giving this game too much credit. Like I do that a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I like your interpretation, so I'm okay going.
It's hard to
with
know if characters are acting dumb or just being dumb.
Yeah.
It's like, are they acting dumb, being dumb, or written dumb? There's
three possible answers. So Usagi meets up with the others afterwards and said Beryl didn't mention the Barozui show, but that she did talk about the evil comet thing, and maybe they could stop her right then and there, which would save the Moon Kingdom. But Luna says, no, we can't do that. We can't change our own destiny, and we have to keep things how they are. Everybody kind of comments on how tragic that is, which is true. Like, it's incredibly sad that they have to allow their kingdom to be annihilated.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I'm glad that they took that kind of thing into consideration. It seems like they did this a lot, where they thought about, the ramifications of
patching Destiny.
Yeah, patching Destiny. And how that would affect the actual continuity of Sailor Moon and, what all would happen to everybody. And so we head back to the Ark and take off to the moon.
Yes.
And then we end there.
Yay.
Do you want me to tell you about the dragon side quest?
Sure.
'Cause it's not a whole lot, but it's cool. So I show up in Kynest Village, and this little boy is like, "Hey, go kill this dragon," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." So you go up to Creepy Man's lab and go down those stairs to get to the thing, and like. I knew there was a Luna P in the room. I was ready to go and save at that Luna P, but the first thing happens you go down there was you get thrown into the boss fight. So I wasn't quite ready for it. But like the green dragon from Dragon Quest 1 like comes on screen.
Oh, man.
But like mixed with a Dragonite, so it's like on its back legs, but looks like the Dragon Quest dragon comes up, is like rawr, and so you fight it. And it's super duper hard, like crazy hard. I see why they put it way at the end. I cheesed it by having I had Mars as my powerhouse, and then because I was in the V formation, and so the next one down on the V would do use buff items on Mars, because Mars would die every single turn, so she would have to be revived and then rebuffed. And so that one did buff items. The next one down would do a revive. The next one would do cologne if it was needed, bath medicine if that was needed, and the last one used a bento set every single turn because somebody was going to be dead or near dying, and I needed everyone as high as they could.
Mhm.
So I basically did that, held A or tapped A if I had to like change stuff, and like took forever, used all of my bento sets, all of my colognes, all of my everything. At one point I ran out of cologne, so I had to use like cereal flour. So I had the person that was normally like healing status effects was like putting one flower and the other one would do the other, because Mars's snake fire takes 6 EP, and that you don't have any item that heals 6, only have 3 and 4. So I was like going through just like 4 of my 5 people were just trying to heal Mars and keep her alive, so that Mars could pot shot off 2,000 damage every turn, and that was it. So
Wow.
it was really hard.
Yeah.
And then the dragon turns into this girl in all green with green hair from
Yep.
the Black Moon. I don't know who that is.
Oh man, I love when a
Esmeralda.
dragon turns into a cute girl.
Esmeralda. Yeah, and so she shows up and is like, ho 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 ho! Bet you didn't know it was me being this dragon and like killing people for fun. And we're like,
It was me,
well, fucking
Dio.
stop it. And
You-
so
yeah.
so then we fight her, and she's thankfully way easier
Oh,
than
good.
the dragon. The guide I was doing was like, she's even harder, but I think because of she has like a weakness to fire or something, but I did not have to spend nearly as long on her as I did the dragon. I was really upset because like I beat the dragon. I was like, thank God I did it. I want the red people. And then she's like, fight me again, 1-on-1. I'm like, God damn it. This took like an hour, but she went down much easier. And she's like, oh, I've really been beaten. But then she gives you the hint that the Barzui show is in the hands of Demondo, and then she dies.
Yeah.
Or runs away or something.
So the story with the dragon form is that Death Phantom who was like the big bad of the Black Moon, had given her something called like an evil beast hand or something. And so she had like this horrible beast hand. Like she could transform her hand into some sort of claw thing, and then like eventually she was able to use that to turn herself into a fucking dragon. At least in the original anime.
So the sprite has like a thing on her hand, but it looks like a fan, and she's holding it.
Okay,
over her
she is
face.
holding a fan, but
Okay.
that's
I was
separate.
like, was that her beast hand, just like casually holding these giant pink claws over her face? But
No, she's like an evil Ojo.
beast boy.
Yeah, she's but yeah, she does the whole like hold her hand up to her face and laugh obnoxiously kind of thing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great in the original anime.
But yeah, Eli, if you're level 40, you probably can take down the dragon. Go get that other red pupil. And
yeah,
then...
I'm gonna do that once I get a chance.
And
Oh,
the other small thing that I wanted to mention was in I think it's in Endymion's castle. It might be in Barrels. I don't remember, but there's a library. So you talk to the to one of the patrons of the library, and he's just like, "This book sorting system is terrible," which is like my big mode, my big mood. Like I just got my library card for Austin Library, and I go into the graphic novel section, which is sorted by author last name, which is fine, except Marvel obfuscates that for a lot of their stuff because that's how Marvel works. So, like, if you want to read something by Spider-Man, you have to look at, like, every last name who's ever written Spider-Man, but also under Spider-Man, and sometimes under Marvel. And I'm just like, I want, like, sort it all under Spider-Man. Just put it all SPA. And that's fine.
Give me like, Spider-Man is what you say.
Or like put them all under Marvel, and then you could just put the characters together in like the Marvel section. Like theirs is technically more correct via Dewey Decimal bullshit, but I don't give a shit about that.
Dewey Decimal is
to find it.
Dewey Decimal seems really outdated at this point, anyway. Like
like it's. And then on top of that, there are 2 graphic novel sections because if it has a parental advisory sticker, they put it with the grown-up fiction. So it's like, I looked all through it, couldn't find the book that I want, was happening to just like be walking around, and holy shit, there's a whole nother wall of manga and graphic novels. And I was just like so tilted by it, came home, played this game, and they got me. this is representation in video games.
So that should about wrap it up for the week. Was there anything else you guys wanted to bring up beforehand?
No, this next week will probably be long, so definitely get started sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's long enough to split Chapter 4 into 3 pieces, so it'll probably just be a long one piece. But
I like One Piece.
Yeah.
Splitting
speaking of long, and speaking of One Piece,
splitting it in half was definitely a good move because, like, it's taken us an hour and a half to get through all this, and like the gameplay
Deluxe
took quite a while.
5-hour episode of our
yeah, God, no, please. So I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. If you like what you hear and you want to help us cover hosting costs and game costs, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. If you want to talk to us, we have a Twitter at rpgbookclub, an email at rpgbookclub@gmail.com, and our favorite, our Discord, which doesn't have a catchy URL, so you can find a link in the description.
And my bounty is still out for the first person to write us into our Gmail. Nobody has done it, but
I'll do it.
You don't count.
I don't care. I still
it doesn't count of sending the email if you have the password to check the email yourself.
Damn it.
Hey guys,
that's the rules.
If we did a live show where we played the RPGs and talked about them, but also had cute dogs with us, it could be RPG Work Club.
Wow.
You're cut off. We have to stop recording.
Yeah, go home. You're drunk. Join us next week when we will be playing through the second half of Chapter 4 and Friends.
Yeah.
Because the first half was Hostility.
No battles, right?
Friends.
What?
Yeah.
No battons, right? We're just going to go talking around.
Exactly.
It
should be easy.
I'm sure everything is fine.
It's all good. It's all gravy on the moon. For the RPG Book Club, I've been Elias, Sailor Eli Warren.
I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Michael Spiffle-Webben.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.